Okay, I have received a question about how to make the plot for the complex wave for the acoustics homework exercise. And normally I don't give advice on this because Microsoft Excel changes with each new version, and the advice I give can quickly get out of date. But I'm working with, extraordinary circumstances, first of all, and also I'm working with a version of Excel that I was able to get through the university offer, whatever it is. So it's possible that you guys have access to the same software I do. And either way, I'll just show you how to do it. And this is going to come with a caveat as well that this works for Macintosh, and I doubt if it works the same way for a PC, but maybe Dushan can guide you guys through the process for the PC too. And maybe there's similarities too. I'll just show this for you for a little snippet of the original sine waves. So you should figure out how to figure out the values of the complex wave from the sine waves that I gave you, but this is just how to plot it. So I'm going to grab the time column and the sine wave the time row of values and the row of sine wave 1 values, just the first few of them. And then I'm going to create a chart out of those. And that's simple to do in Excel, at least this version. So you go to Insert Chart, and what I want to get is a line chart. So just click on that, and then boom, there it is. So this is the orange line is going to be the sine wave, at least the first part of it. Starts at 0 and it's going to curve back down eventually, but we don't get there yet. What's annoying is that Excel automatically plots these time values, which we don't care about. So how do we change that? So you can go over here on Mac to select data. And so what it gives me is this is showing it's plotting time and sine wave 1. So just click on time and then click on this little minus button and it'll go away. So if I just do that for now, it'll show you that the time stuff goes away, which is great. What we really want to have though is time labeled down here on the horizontal axis, so we know what time things are happening here for this first sine wave. So go back to the select data. Sorry, I got a bit of a frog in my throat. And so we can define what should be on that x-axis labels by clicking on this. And I'll go back to that. So if you just click on this, you could type in a relatively complicated formula like this, which specifies which cells exactly ought to be on the x-axis, but it's easier to do it with this feature. So if I click on this little kind of spreadsheet looking icon, what I can do is just grab or sort of click and drag to specify which values should be on the x-axis, and it figures out what the complicated formula should be for me. So I'll do that. I'll go back down here and I'll just say, okay, that's what I want. And then boom, now it's plotting time here. And these values are a little bit funny because they're not moving up evenly. I talked about that a little bit in the previous video on this, but I'm not going to go over that again. The other thing you might want to do here is label this appropriately. So make sure that you're still clicked on this chart, and then you can go over here to add chart element, and I can go to axis titles and say primary horizontal, and if I click on that, a little label shows up here that I can just click on and type in, so time, and voila, that looks a lot better. But maybe that's not all I want to do. Maybe I want to add a label to the y-axis as well. So for that, I go back to this add chart element, axis titles, primary vertical, and yay, I've got that. This is a little funny. You click on it and then the cursor is oriented horizontally, and you have to go down with the down arrow if you want to be able to highlight this. I'm highlighting it with my down and up arrows, but I'm just going to say amplitude for this, and then click over here, and then I'm done with that. So that's great. I'm making progress here. There's two other things I'll mention that can kind of help make this look nice. So if you double click on these numbers on the x-axis, the specific numeric labels, you get this interface here, which says format axis. And what I want to do is actually spread out these labels a little bit. So if I go down to labels, this might not be open when you first see it, but you click on this little arrow if it isn't for labels, and you can click on specify interval unit. And if I put 2, it kind of skips every other one. And that, again, they're not going up evenly, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, whatever. It gives a little more space and makes it look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I could try 3, and it has even fewer, but whatever you want, whatever you think is appropriate there is fine. But that gives you the time second labels, time labels in seconds, basically. I can do, so I'll close that. And you can do something similar for amplitude if you want to, but this works differently. So because this is the vertical axis, there's nothing similar under labels for that. It just talks about label position there. Instead, it gives you options for the axis in general, minimum, maximum, so on and so forth. What we care about really here, if you want to spread things out a little bit more, is the major units. So it's set by default to be 0.1. Just Excel figured that out as a nice handy measure based on the data available. We can spread them out a bit more by going to 0.2. Now it goes 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.81, so on and so forth. It also changed the maximum for me there. You can click on these this little button to reset it to where it was before. I kind of like it when it's a little more spread out, but however it works for you, whatever you like to see there, that's how you make those labels and make the plot look a little bit nicer than it would otherwise. And again, though, that's what I know works for Mac, and it probably works entirely differently for PC. I know Dushan's capable of making these videos too. We'll see if he's up for the challenge. We'll see if he even watches this. I doubt if he will, but we'll see. If you have other questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Okay, hope this helps.